Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Jesse, your DM.
Cody playing Lazarus.
Brennan playing Diz.
Mike playing Nim.
Britt playing Kenna.
And we are Double Doubles and Dragons. We're a group of goofy Canadians that have gotten together to play a little D&D. Sometimes we will say things that are inoffensive. We mean them as jokes, of course, and they're certainly funny to us, but some people may find this offensive. If you do, we apologize, but we don't want any hate mail about it. So just don't listen, okay? Let's jump right into the action. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Let's go over a couple of things before we begin the session. First of all, we've only got one person that doesn't have inspiration, as he used it last session, and that would be Dis. So, Dis, was there anything that you did last session that you think is inspiration-worthy after you used it? I don't think a lot happened after you used it, really.
Wait, what did I use it? Did I use it with the knight, or did I use it before the knight?
I think you used it with the knight.
Then probably not, no.
Because not a ton happened with you after that.
No, not really.
I mean, you talked to your god, but that was kind of incidental. Yeah. All right, we'll leave it as it is then. You will be without inspiration for the burning building. Good luck with that. Experience. Let's see. I mean, there was some stuff that happened. You encountered the knight, and several of you triggered one of his defense mechanisms. So, you know.
I think that's got to be worth a lot, like 4,700?
No.
That sounds right.
If it was meant to kill you, you'd be dead. But no, I mean, like, you guys gathered some intel and stuff like that. You know, you got to reward that kind of stuff. So I would say it's about 400 experience, I think, each for that last session.
Gotta do something where we get more than like 4 to 600.
Well, I think we're on the...
You're on a nice one. It's just got to go down.
Worth about 4,300, I would assume.
Well, I mean, it'll be getting closer to that depending on how badly you pork it up. All right, as for review, so everybody had decided that the quest you were going to go on was dealing with the burning warehouse that won't go out, the sawmill. Mm-hmm. So you went to the market rung, decided to go check it out, found out it was going to take a pretty long time to get there. Turns out the market rung is pretty big. But during your travels, you got to experience a little bit of the market life, get to see how it functioned a little bit better, and you encountered the Black Knight, who was very interesting, a very intense individual is probably the best way to describe it. I'm not going to go through the whole description again. If people want to see how terrifying he was, feel free to listen to the last episode. It's plenty enjoyable. But nobody died. Nobody did nothing stupid, and he went on his merry way.
I mean, someone wanted to flourish their scimitars.
That's true, and then
daggers.
They're daggers now.
Yeah, we were calling them daggers.
Are they rolling the scimitar dice?
They are.
Okay.
They are.
So they're,
but it's just
they're physical.
In my head, they look like daggers.
Their physical characteristics are subject to change.
That's right. And you can call your thing whatever you want to call it when you finish your god item thing.
When I get a chance.
Which I guess I'll remind everybody of as well, because I do want to see people solve their god puzzles. After you encountered the Black Knight, you made your way to the fire, where you met Blaine Firehater, the chief of, we'll call him the fire department.
Brigade.
Yeah, the fire brigade. And you learned some stuff. Nim got a spell scroll. That's exciting. He may even be able to copy it into his book if he doesn't have to use it twice in this building. And you gathered some intel. Dis managed to contact Meyer and found out that, loosely speaking, either the individual gruff woodwalker that owned the sawmill is either alive or he's dead, but his soul didn't go where it was supposed to go. One or the other. Kenna did try to contact Myliki, didn't have as much success, not as much plant life here, and just didn't seem to be able to make the connection. Lazarus did some pinging around the building and detected faint traces of elemental and a little bit of desecration to boot. So it seems like it'll be a fun time. You guys also found out that the warehouse is quite large. It's 10 to 15 buildings wide and just about as long. So it's a big building.
I do want to put up just the footnote that for my light activity, because I don't think we described
I don't think we described light activities.
Very pious. Very praying for something intentionally just in case.
Fair enough. Just trying to cover your bases.
Lady of the Waterfall.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. You never know, right?
Well, I said I was watering the grass.
Yep.
Trees.
Just trying to help out. Do those little bits. And Nim was making friends.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure we'll
Lots
call
of
it
friends.
that. You know? Almost
I
got
mean, in
drowned.
his head he made friends, but he's a little thick, so.
We know how unreliable of a narrator Nim is.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, and if I recall correctly, the group had kind of settled on needing to long rest in that little park to change up some spells and maybe discuss kind of what the plan is. Because, I mean, you guys haven't really had to deal with a situation quite like this yet. So, figuring out how you're going to storm a burning building with at least 3 basement levels, you've been told. So
We're
it's
definitely going to need floor plans. Something we should ask for, alright.
probably a good idea. Probably a good idea. Bam. Is there anything that I haven't... Anything anybody wants to draw special attention to? I mean, a decent amount happened last session, so...
Scroll?
Yep.
That's like
Concentration
the
lasts
only thing
for
that
a
happened?
minute. So.
How long does it take you to learn this scroll?
2 hours to copy it into my spellbook, but it would cost 100 gold,
What?
so unless you're willing to let me spend 100 more
I'm
gold.
trying to decide if Lazarus would know whether or not that he could, like, cover himself with, like, a cooking oil or something else to, like on the armor.
Couldn't I just make it rain on us the whole time we walk into
Make
the
it
building?
rain.
How?
Create or destroy water?
It does it once.
Yeah, it just does it once.
I don't think it's that consistent. Actually, read it out, because it is a good idea for you all to know what all the water magic
I said it
does.
says I can make it rain.
It's only 10 gallons.
Yeah. Alternatively, the water falls as rain in a 30-foot cube within range, extinguishing exposed flames in the area.
It's probably going to be
Yeah.
up above us, I think.
Well,
That's a
that
sawmill. Oh, but basement levels, we have to
And
probably.
with
Yeah,
that
so
much
I don't
heat,
know.
it could
Just fizzle the
vaporize.
cloud.
Yeah, vaporize before it hits the ground.
Depends on how hot it is in there. You guys haven't really done much of a temperature check yet.
Well,
And
that's
like, if I
basically what
cast it
Lazarus
at
is
higher
gonna do.
levels, you get a 10 additional gallons, or the size of the cube increases by 5 feet for each slot level above first.
I got it. Everybody wear barrel pants. And then Kenna can fill the barrels with water.
Well, and gust of wind also states that it puts out fire,
Well,
and it's a 10. I think.
It's like 5 by 30 or something.
No, I think it's 10 by 60.
Mm.
It's a pretty significant area.
I mean, in his long rest for his light activity, Nim could learn the spell.
No, I think copying a spell is not light activity.
No?
No, it counts as a regular activity.
Yeah.
It takes a fair amount of mental concentration. He's basically committing it to a spell he can cast.
Although, if the party's cool with giving me 100 gold out of our not very padded pockets, then
Probably not yet.
yeah, that's what I mean.
We have to start paying for room and board very quick.
That's why I'm not. That's why I
That's
didn't even
5
bring it
gold
up
a day
last
per
time.
person.
No, that was for the meals.
That was for the meal. Or no, meals were free.
Sorry.
Those are free.
Sorry, 5 for the room.
Yeah.
So 20.
5 room
For
or
the party,
$20
But we
a
don't
day.
know how much the meals were.
They were included.
Right, but they're not going to be included soon.
No, Lil said they were still included.
Lil said as long as you worked under her, they were
Okay.
included. It was room and board she couldn't cover forever.
Okay. I swear.
Too much. But yeah, I mean, I see no reason not to jump into things, so I would say it's the morning. You're waking up inside the hut. Probably a good time to have a strategy meeting.
Probably.
A cursory glance to the horizon tells you that the fire is definitely still burning.
Does it look bigger?
Not so much. About the same. They're doing a good job of containing it.
So my thought is if Nim learns it, that's like the one spell he can actually use against
What?
the elemental. If he learns the scroll.
Well, no, it's not. It's only useful for putting out the fire. It doesn't do any damage. It just pushes stuff away from me.
Okay.
But I mean, if you guys want to go
But
blasting
how
into
long
the
does
fire,
it
I
actually
can
take?
just
Doesn't it actually take like hours?
What spell level is it?
2.
just 2 hours to copy it.
2 hours and 100 gold, I think it is.
Yeah, it's 50 GP per level.
What
and it's
spell
a
level
level
is it?
2.
It would still leave us with
How many slots?
172 gold.
Well,
You
if
have
I-
3s to replenish.
Well,
Yeah, so I got 2 or 3 level 2s, 3 level 3s, and 1 level
Lazarus is
4,
nice.
so I could cast
Yeah.
it 7 times.
Well, and don't forget about your divination thing, where you
Yeah.
can redo your spell levels and stuff.
Yeah, if I just Mind Spike at a higher level, then I can regain my spell slots.
So if it only takes 2 hours, then that becomes quite possible.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, we could
I
go
just-
get the building plan. We could go over, the building layout while he learns the spell.
Yeah, we can.
If he got the scroll from that, there might be some other scrolls that they have we could probably attempt to get, or ask if they have, like, maybe they have, like, a protection one already that they plan on using, or one they could copy.
Yeah.
Or is the time spent to learn the spell based on the level of it, or...
Yeah, it's an hour per level.
That's not that bad. It was like 3 or 4 or something then.
Yeah.
We did look at the spells, though. There's not really resistance spell scrolls. It's potions you have to go to for resistance.
And there are random resistance when you drink them.
Unless you get
Unless you get
Do
somebody
you
that
know
can
what
like,
resistance
really-
you get? What are randoms?
I would say, like, if you drank it, I feel like you'd probably
you'd
have a
feel
vague
like
feeling.
It'd be kinda
So you wouldn't
hilarious
just
if
be
you did.
blind. Like, you'd be like, yeah, I'm immune to fire, and you're actually immune to lightning. You just walk into the building and burn to death like, instantly.
Well, I mean, I feel like if you were like immune to fire, you'd feel extremely cold. If you were
Exactly.
immune to cold, you'd feel extremely hot.
Yeah, I feel like there's probably a way for you to tell. But they're not cheap, those potions, either.
Yeah, we looked at it last time.
Even in a regular
It was
economy,
awful.
they're outside your reach.
How much
Although
do
I
they
will
cost?
make the point.
I think it was like 300 gold in a regular economy, and
So
things have
it'd be
been
like-
more expensive
It'd
here.
be like 2,200 for us or something.
Do we get confirmation that they would, like, help us with some sort of spell? I thought they had spells they used, or what we assumed were spells that they used to get their firefighters in.
We asked whether or not they were willing to open up an opening salvo for us to go in. I think
And they
agreed
said
to
that was okay.
Yeah, I think so.
yeah,
but there
I
was
mean, you
no
could always ask for
protection.
more follow-up detail.
Yeah. Just no protection. Other than that, yeah, Nim. learning
The
spell's
only
probably the best
problem
bet.
I'm seeing with learning it is that I think I have to wait till tomorrow to actually equip it.
Oh, because right,
It'd be in his book, but it wouldn't be memorized.
it's the morning now too,
Well, and I
so you can't long rest.
I have to long rest to equip it.
Well,
You don't have the feature on short rest.
No, I can regain spell slots on short rest.
Oh, but
I
you
can't
can
switch.
Right. Okay.
I don't even get long rest. Really.
No.
Not for another at least 18 hours.
Well,
You
that and
woke
just
up.
long resting twice without having done anything other than here is just.
No, well, that, like, the game just doesn't even let you. You have
Mhm.
to have, I think it's like a minimum of 18 hours between each long rest. And I mean, honestly, even if it didn't say that, that just makes good sense.
Alright, 16?
16 hours.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to do at least reconnaissance or something.
So can you copy this? Not. You can learn it, but you can't equip it today, right?
But I still think him learning it is more beneficial than the chance of him using it twice and then not.
Yeah, because I don't think it destroys any part of the scroll if I copy it. So I would still have 2 scroll usages.
What's the rules on having other people
Or does
use
it
scrolls?
consume in the scroll?
You cannot use a scroll unless it's a spell that you could, in theory, cast.
So
So
It
has to be in your spell list.
Kenna might be able to use scrolls. Then?
They'd have to
Depends.
check her spell list.
Yeah.
No, because she would have already equipped it if she could get access to it, I'm pretty sure. I don't think druids get custom one.
I didn't
Oh,
even
that
look
makes
at wind
sense.
spells. I just looked at water.
I know for
Wind does that
sure
kind of spooky for
wizards
fires.
and sorcerers can get it, because that's where I found it.
Presumably, yeah, bards. Bards get everything.
Zelda.
Oh no, you can get it. That's the one.
Yep. Yeah,
fine.
but like
So
this,
for
for
me-
example, couldn't use it. I
Yeah,
don't
no.
think Lazarus can either.
So for me to learn it, because I don't have a spell book,
You
would I just
don't-
memorize it?
You
Well,
would
you could just
already,
switch
because
it on.
druids.
Oh, right,
can
I
just
can just
swap
switch
it.
it on.
equip it
Duh.
on the long rest?
Yeah, you're fine.
Well, now we've already long rested.
Yes. Well, I mean, she's got like 4 water spells. I think she's pulling her weight.
We freaking transport to the fire dimension or something and somehow
Plane
live.
of fire. Yeah, stuck in the
Would you
plane
get
of
the
fire
next
at level
long rest?
7. We're definitely getting out.
Eh?
Plane of Fire does constant fire damage to you, so
Yeah, we'll be
I don't
fine.
think we'd
I-
make it.
I
Yeah, okay.
did toy with the idea of just straight up having it be an entrance to the fire plane, but you guys aren't equipped for that.
We really are. But that would have been fun for us to, like, encounter and be like,
It'd be like,
we're getting the fuck out now.
Or is it? And that's why he has the timer.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that was just a false flag I just gave you.
Oh.
Yeah, I feel like for an iron quest, going to the fire dimension is probably an overreach.
To be fair, like when you mentioned like he's missing but he's not dead, I was like,
Well, I didn't say what might happen after this quest is done.
I meant the dude that went missing.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, but
He could be.
He could be in the plane place.
Maybe that's where he went to save himself.
see, fuck this shit. Vacation.
Plane of fire.
The plane of fire. Okay. So I guess what's the plan, guys?
Good question.
Do we have
Go
to do
ask
this in
the
character?
guards about.
I mean,
or
I
go
would
ask the firefighters about if they have any extra protection.
Like, I honestly would prefer you did it in character.
Oh,
Not necessarily this part, but when you go to
Oh, yeah,
talk to
certainly.
people and
Well,
stuff,
yeah.
But for-
No, just this hypothesizing. You guys don't have to if you don't want to.
Question. Can Kenna make spell scrolls?
Any caster can make spell scrolls. You just need the proper materials, enough time, and the
So it would just
spell
cost
slots.
more money. Like, I could get her to make, I think, a spell scroll of any spell that crosses between druid and wizard, and
Yeah.
technically I
you could learn them.
It's not just money, it's also time.
Well, no,
Well, yeah.
I'm realizing it's a sync. I'm just...
But it's something that
suggesting.
we have access to potentially now.
Yeah, no,
so if
I mean...
find a spell that I'm like, ooh, that would be really nice to have, I could just get Kenna to, like, make me a scroll, and then I
Yeah.
can just copy it.
According to the more sane prices for scrolls, because in the book, the prices do not make sense.
No.
I think like a level 1 scroll takes like 4 days.
What?
And like 200 gold. Like it's insane.
Yeah.
But in the more sane list that we've been using forever, both cantrips and first level spells only cost 25 GP and only take 1 day to make.
And how does that scale? Like, what's a level 2? Is it
Level
50?
2 is 125 and takes 5 days. First and cantrip count as common spell scrolls. That's why they're so cheap.
Okay.
I mean, if you think about it, most cantrips and spell scroll or first level spells are not groundbreaking spells.
We need to gauge how much money we're going to make from iron level.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
before we spend any more
Then we
money.
can start powering up our wizard.
Yeah, well, and I mean, like, you should also look at, like, other methods of money generation. They've already told you that a lot of heroes use their influence to
Now
have money-making
I'll just go around the
ventures.
farming rung and double everyone's crops.
I'm sure people would pay for
Charge
that.
We'll pay
them.
this.
Well,
Yeah,
just get,
just a huge charge on top.
Get Peter Harvester to vouch for you.
Well, I will. That's why I did it.
We have
I'll
reference.
just learn the ceremony spell and then go around doing it.
But this has cleared up whether we don't need to learn anything now. We can try to do something ASAP because you can use both of the scrolls if you need to, or both if you
Yeah,
use to.
and then I can
Yeah.
just get Kenna to make me...
Yeah, it's not a limited, you can never learn Gust again.
Yeah.
Well, and not that it would be that way. It would just be... Otherwise, I would have to pay for the scroll, and the scroll from a vendor is going to be like 10 times as much.
Yeah.
It is funny, though. I was actually waiting to see how long it would take for Nim to realize he could learn spells from other people.
Well, I
You don't
just...
really have wizards party.
No, it's our first wizard, so... Well, not our first wizard, but our first wizard that got pretty far.
I guess, like, I could even learn some paladin spells, probably.
Paladin and wizard don't overlap a lot, but I'm sure there must be a couple.
There's got to be a few.
But most of the paladin spells are, like, even level 1
How
paladin
would
spells are pretty
Lazarus
strong.
make you a scroll?
With your mind.
Because none of his magic comes from understanding.
Oh, it comes from religion?
Yeah, what is
Pure lore-wise, it's basically intended that only the classes that understand how their spells are done can do it, like wizards and druids.
Bard.
A lot of... And bards to a certain degree. It's a little iffier with them. I've seen it go both ways. I've seen a lot of people online say stuff like, with paladins and sorcerers, it doesn't make as much sense because even they never, like, write down or read their spells. That being said, I think with enough time to study, like to learn how to do it, you could probably learn how to do it. I wouldn't lock you out of that way of making money, but we'd have to look at maybe how you learn to do it.
Yeah.
Kind of the same, like Dis knows how to cast
Well, that's
spells, but they're
basically-
all drow, and like I don't think he'd be able to write them down.
That was
in
basically what
spell
Kenna
scrolls.
has. That Lazarus has never like,
How do you cast
thought of this
darkness?
at all.
You have to hate the sun really.
That's all the
hard.
scroll says. Hate the sun really, really hard.
And then here's a list of like religions that worship the sun. There's just a bunch of X's through.
It's all like an angry red pen. Like they're like, I don't think this is a spell scroll. I don't think
Nim
this
looks
works.
at it, just looks at the sun. Fuck you! cast darkness.
I will mention, of course, as well, because this is the first time you guys have been in town in forever, don't forget about, like, herbalism and alchemy, and for those of you that have proficiencies with those kits.
What to do with my sailing?
What to do with your sailing? Actually, that's interesting. You should see if you can figure out what you can do with your sailing.
Yeah.
I think
Maybe there's a shipbuilding area.
I mean, there seems to be a lot of
There's a herb
rungs.
kit,
The Black
so-
Knight had a lot
Yeah,
of gems on his
Yeah,
ring.
it must be.
yeah, no, I'm pretty sure druid
I'm a
or
herbalist.
your background or your class or.
Oh, that's fun. We can do lots of things with herbs.
The other thing to remember is it bites both ways, right? You guys were talking about certain things here seem really rare, so potions are probably expensive as shit. But that also means if you make your own potions,
Can sell them for a lot.
you could probably cash in on that.
Herbalists can make potions, right?
As long as if you don't have proficiency with the alchemy kits, it takes a little longer and is a little harder. But yeah, you can still, they might not be like the highest grade, but you can muddle your way through. I'm a pretty firm believer in that if you're not proficient in the alchemy kit, you can't make anything above, like, uncommon. Like, that's just not realistic. They get pretty complicated.
Yeah, but there is also, like, rules for how you learn proficiencies.
Yes. It takes, like, months,
It does
usually.
take months, yes.
But that being said, that's all, I suppose, vaguely related to what you plan to do with the fiery building. What's the plan for today's action?
Well, we need to go get the floor plans. Yep. Lazarus needs to see if his aura works with the damn fire.
Yeah, we need to
We need to
also
check the heat.
and
that's
ask
what I'm
how
doing.
much, or if they have any other support for us other than just opening away.
Fair enough.
Just
All right.
go weasel around, do his messenger stuff.
So I'll go talk to
That's
my
right, don't
best friend.
forget. This is his messengerness. Do you actually have, like, on your character sheet, do you have anything for that?
For messengers? No, not really. That's what I was looking for.
Because what was your background you picked? Wasn't it, like, charlatan?
Yeah, I think it was a charlatan.
So, yeah, I mean, you're used to, like,
yeah, charlatan.
making people believe the things you say and, like, talking like they would think you would talk and, you know, getting
more the
information.
info.
Yeah.
The info background.
I mean, that's kind of stuff messengers need.
Yeah.
I know we gave you the messenger background in your backstory. I was just curious how that had lined up on your character sheet. Okay, so who wants to go do what? Or do you want to do it as a group so that you can kind of cover any gaps and whatever each other is thinking, or?
I don't know.
I guess. Does Nim want to go with Lazarus to get the plots and then go with Lazarus to test the fire? Or?
Yeah, we could do that.
To
Do
get
you want to test the
plots?
fire all together? I think we should test the fire all together.
Yeah, but lay out plots.
Oh, okay, the plans. Sorry, I was like, plots? What plots? What plots? What do you know?
I think we should group up for the fire. Testing the fire.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, that makes sense.
But other than that, yeah, like the plans.
And then what else? You were going to go fish up for more support. What else can we do?
Which, I mean, you know where they'll be.
Yep.
I don't know, Nim might try to go schmooze some other mages, because you did so well yesterday.
Just acted completely ignorant and joking around and just get handed a scroll and then water bathed.
All right. That all sounds like plans or various forms of plans. All right. Who wants to go first?
Roll the d4.
Okay.
I
didn't assign anything.
Yeah, I mean, like,
what side are we starting?
what's the deal?
This way.
Going this
I'm
way?
2.
Okay, it was a
3,
4, so
You
I'm
should-
starting with Kenna.
All right, so I guess it's Kenna first. Kenna's like, I don't even know what I'm doing.
Well, that makes it easy.
We'll roll one of the fire then to test it.
Okay, you want to test
That
the
was-
fire first?
I think that's...
I mean, it sounds like the group has decided that the dice decides who the leader is today, so I guess it's
Apparently.
Kenna's deal.
Whoever goes first.
Okay, so you guys, I guess, start walking back towards the fire?
Yep.
Give me a perception check as you arrive.
18.
Okay. So as you arrive, you notice a couple of things have changed about the fire and the building itself. So the fire is a little lower so far this morning. The whole building is still engulfed, but it seems to be a little lower on the roof and there's not as much coming out of the windows. That seems to be because it looks like they've taken a bit of a break. You notice a lot of the mages are kind of resting or like leaning against other buildings. They seem to have kind of taken a break. But what has changed is somebody or a group of somebodies has created a fairly significantly sized rainstorm above the building. That is kind of keeping it down as a self-sustaining system for however long they can keep that going. And they all seem to be kind of resting in the in-between time.
Alrighty.
You do notice Blaine. He's kind of off to one corner resting with some of the other mages, and they seem to be having a bit of a meeting about what their plan is. And you can see them kind of whispering to each other and drawing on the ground with their hands and kind of making motions, that sort of thing.
Well, should we go talk to Blaine, or should we just try to test this fire?
We can go talk to Blaine.
We can certainly go talk to him first, see how the things are going.
Well, then to Blaine it is.
As you approach, Blaine looks over in your direction as you approach, and he goes, "Adventurers, it is good to see you made it through the night from this unholy fire."
Yes, this unholy fire has been raging on my thoughts since yesterday.
Good. Good. You approach me with purpose. Tell me what you need.
Do you have the floor layout plan for this building?
On paper, no. But
Can
in
you
my
draw it?
mind, I remember all burning buildings I've been inside.
Could you draw it?
I could try. It's honestly a fairly simple building. Here, let me attempt. And he kind of starts like drawing in the soot on the ground that they're sitting on. So the building really does seem to be quite simple. He's definitely not over exaggerating. Basically, the entire building is a square. And the way that it's been laid out, at least in terms of major structures, is there is a large doubled staircase in the very middle of the building, a set up, a set down, and that is just basically the pillar in the center of the building. The rest of it seems to be more or less open floor for storage, tools. So he kind of indicates that, like, other than the materials that may have shifted because of the fire, there's no real walls. The rest of it is held up by small pillars. It's meant to be as open concept as possible to give as much storage space as possible.
And the stairs are directly in the center?
Directly in the center. He does indicate that there are kind of dumbwaiters at each side of the building, so northeast, south, and west. However, they're only predominantly used to move wood from level to level, and they're also pulled with string, so he's not sure if they're still running with the fire.
But there is shafts we could use.
There is a shaft
to move vertically if we need to.
Yes, on each side.
Okay.
He does indicate they're kind of small, only about 10 feet by 10
are
feet.
they on directly in the center of each wall or near the corner?
In the center of each wall. The ground floor has two major doors, one kind of right in front of where you are now and one on the opposite side, and there are two smaller doors on the opposing sides, near the middle, but not directly where the dumbwaiters would be, off to one side of each one. So it's a fairly simplistic layout. As he finishes the drawing, that's the worst part. It's so open in there. So much room for the air to move, for the fire to intensify.
Speaking of, how has the building not been consumed thus far?
Funny story. The outer walls are made of a very thick, strong stone that was made from ruins that used to exist on this floor. Most of the buildings here are made of that stone. But, of course, the inside is all wood, and the floors are wood, and there's a lot of things to burn.
Are we expecting them to have no floor to stand on?
Last time we were in there, what was that? The morning of yesterday, the floor was intact, though beginning to show patches of weakness. It will become complicated the longer the fire rages.
Lazarus at the lead, then.
He kind of like looks at you and he's like, the heaviest firefighter does tend to go first. Brave, heavy men.
Or we could just get Kenna to summon something and send that first.
I mean, I could. It's not that hard.
I mean, giant goats probably weigh as much as Lazarus.
In his armor?
Okay, well, we could put some, like, bags of shit on their back.
Lazarus was considering taking it off entirely.
We going full nude, fighting the fire.
Not nude, no.
I mean, that's a strategy.
You look over at Lazarus, he's just wearing jean shorts.
And they're super tight.
I mean, they would be.
And there's not much material, really, because there's a hole this big in the back end for the tail.
Yeah, I mean, it's really more like a jean thong than anything else. Are you planning to go inside the belly of the bitch today?
We are. As long as we are able to withstand the flames getting to it.
Speaking of which, you'd mentioned being able to open an entrance for us to go through. An entrance in the flames.
That does sound like something I said.
Now, would there be is there any possibility of getting farther protection once we're inside? Something that would linger to protect us from the fire?
Well, spell-wise, we're stretched pretty thin. But you're, of course, free to use any mundane methods of fire protection you may have. I would certainly recommend dousing yourselves in water before you go inside at the absolute minimum. If that's how you like to fight your fires. The absolute minimum.
And how long will it take to set up, to blow an opening in the heart of this cold bitch?
Cold?
Warm.
Well, cold.
Mistakes were made.
Mistakes were made, I'm sorry. He looks around his men and he's just, we are ready anytime to take down the demon.
How long do you estimate on foot will it take us to travel to the lower floor, where we presume we are going?
Well, if you're running, and I recommend you run, pretty quick. It's only maybe a few minutes to the center stairs, but the trick will be we have no way of knowing where whatever is causing the blaze will be. So you may need to search in the fire.
Kenna, with this central staircase, would you not be able to drop a wave on the whole thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
That would give us leeway to explore.
The other thing we could do is we could send that bird in, do some recon.
Bird doesn't like that idea.
Doesn't he like 1 health? Or something?
Yeah.
He's going to go into the fire and go.
Be like, I'm gonna make it.
But if I did the water, and then he flew in after the tidal wave
Possibly.
to do some
I'm
recon?
thinking we use the gust of wind to cut to the staircase and then tidal wave down.
Down the whole thing, the chute.
Yeah, because that'll douse our way down, and we can give it. We're going to get blasted in the face with a lot of steam and smoke, but
How are we getting back out?
I mean,
Like,
We're
we're
hopefully-
blowing an entrance down there, but
No,
the
no.
thing's
not blowing.
He's talking
it.
about the center stairs.
So just drop
Yeah,
the water wave down.
Oh,
the
no, yeah, to
stairs,
clear
so
it
that
out,
just
for
goes
sure.
all the way down.
But I'm saying in our general, like, the question is, how are we going to get out of this thing at the end?
The
Like,
assumption is that once we kill the fire elemental, the fire will all go out.
That's the game
That's
plan.
the dream.
Well, I mean, we're assuming we're going to get in and out without the major staircase collapsing, and if it does, then I guess Lazarus just like Misty steps up with a rope and starts pulling people up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, the problem is that if the fire just keeps going and we don't do something, or we find out we have to wait to do something and we try to go back up, we need a plan to get back through the fire. That's
still
probably
have-
come back.
You still have the gust of wind.
We have one usage of that left, so we have one try.
They're going to open up the way for us. We're going to run to the staircase.
We do have one usage. Okay, yeah.
So we still have 2 uses at that point.
Yeah,
depending
which
on-
is 2 minutes of full concentration of blasting 10 by 60 in front of me, and all fire goes out.
I mean,
So that should be fine, at least for...
As I move forward,
Yeah, so
and
I think
can
we
redirect
have small opportunities,
I can also tidal wave
like 2 more times after you do it.
3
So-
because I can use it at a 4th level too, right?
Okay.
So I can do 3 more. I also could water wall.
water.
Yep.
That could be good.
Yeah, so we've got a few ways of cutting our ways through if we need to.
Create or destroy water, because assuming once the fire elemental is out that the fire will be able to be like calmed down, and I can also make it so that one of you guys absorbs elements.
Master Blaine, do you perhaps happen to know if dispelling magic has had any effect on the fire?
Protection energy.
The fire at the edges, which is as far as we've been able to get, is a much more natural fire. Dispelling it appears to have no particular effect.
Then perhaps Lazarus' Lady's Grace will not help.
I would warn you as well, as you prepare to delve deep inside its raging heart, that it is quite hot in there.
Like, how hot?
Like, hot enough that if you are not in the process of protecting yourself, you will begin to burn.
Perhaps then do you have some extra water skins available for borrow?
I think we could find some water skins.
Perhaps we should carry some extra, just in case.
Mm-hmm.
Lazarus would be the water bitch and have just a string of water skins going around.
This is when we need the freaking, the endless drought.
Yeah. Oh, but
Sorry, that's been
Decanter
lost to
events.
time.
decanter bins.
Perhaps someday
Also-
the new party will find it.
Do you remember what that thing was worth on like his useful?
Oh, it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's
It's
so
like-
expensive.
It's like worth like 150,000 gold.
Yep.
Yeah, turns out the decanter of endless water, though rated as a common item, is not.
Yeah. The concept of having a
Yeah.
permanent water supply seems. But when you make it just be able to blast things, it just becomes a.
Mm-hmm.
So you just go to like a desert town and you just like start like making bank.
Yeah, you're just like,
water.
I am your savior.
I am the bringer of the water.
This jar only works when I touch it, not other people.
Stay
Don't
away.
touch my jar. Is there anything else you need from me?
Do you have any protective clothing from fire?
We have, but unfortunately it's all currently in use.
I mean, I just need a little bit of it.
He looks at you and he's to say, I understand that you would only require a little material, but unfortunately I have none to spare.
It seems we should get to putting this out.
Might as well do it while they've got it somewhat under control at the moment.
Does seem to be good timing.
Yeah.
Perhaps Lazarus shall now go test the fire.
Oh, lordy.
Oh, Lord Jesus, there's a fire.
I suppose, like, before even moving out, like, the side where they're kind of set up is where I'll take off and just put my armor.
Okay, fair enough. So are you completely naked?
No, I've got, like, the underclothes. Just,
Okay.
like, the loose-fitting sailor stuff is still underneath.
Sure.
Otherwise, armor just grates me.
Yeah.
I will leave behind a bag, all the things that I don't need, like literally I just have my
Backpack.
spell focus.
And a tiny goat.
No, my goat's staying here.
That's why I
Or,
mean,
oh, yeah,
you
yeah,
don't
I'm
need
not
the little
taking
goat. Taking the small goat into a raging inferno.
Lazarus will take the
poor
pelt,
choice.
though, because that can soak and hold a lot of
That
water.
it probably could. Who else is, what's everybody else stripping down? Dis's weapons are made of stone, so that seems at least partially
It's gonna worry about
helpful.
the- I suppose you may have to worry about the studded leather, unless you, like, oiled the shit out of it.
Well, yeah, because if you want to, soak yourself, that's not great for studded leather
Yeah.
either.
No, I think I'm going to strip off my gear.
Just wear, your everyday clothes.
Yeah,
and the
basically.
traveler cloak.
Oh.
Soak that with water.
Yeah, your traveler coat's pretty heavy to keep the sun off you,
Yeah, I'll
so
keep
it'll
that
probably
on.
hold a fair bit of water.
Anything that can actually absorb water without dying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
I
leave
think
my
that's
cloak
fair.
on as well.
I'm going to. I have a scroll case. I'm gonna dump it out into my backpack. I don't think there's anything in it, but anything that was in it, I'm gonna dump out. Like any
Put
dust.
the gust in there.
I'm gonna put the gust of wind in there, and I'm gonna put my 50 GP diamond in it if it'd fit. I'm not sure how big. I don't think it's pretty
50.
small.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be in too much trouble
And
there.
I don't know. This one might not fit though. A minor healing potion.
In a scroll case.
Right down the center. Depends if they're
or if it would just
vials.
like
Yeah.
stick out the end, like if it sealed it instead of this actual.
I think you'll be okay just because I imagine that when Nim was out buying a scroll case, Nim was like, I'm going to have all the scrolls! And bought like a big scroll case.
Prepared.
Yeah. Okay. And then I'll just kind of use something to like put it around me, and I'll leave the rest of my backpack there so it doesn't burn.
And you're taking your book with you, obviously.
My book's always on my hip. It's never in my backpack.
What are you going to do with your spell focus? Isn't it made of wood?
It's a staff.
It's a staff. It's magical though.
Yeah.
It shouldn't burn easily. I need my spell focus. I can't.
No, I did, believe me, I understand.
Do I have anything?
Thank goodness Kenna has really long hair. She gets really wet. It's a constant source of.
Like, do we have any rag or anything? Because we can just take like a cloth rag and wrap his staff with it or something.
Soak it in water and...
I mean, we could take someone's clothes.
Oh, actually, I have 2 bedrolls for some reason. Why do I have 2 bedrolls? Okay, I'll use one of my bedrolls.
I think you
I have 2 times bedroll on here.
I just imagine, you know those, like, for super cold weather, like, sleeping bags that, like, zip all the way up to your neck and make you look like a sausage?
Yeah.
I just imagine Nim inside that, soaked it with water, and is just hopping.
He wouldn't move. He doesn't have the strength to bunny hop 100 pounds of water.
That's true. That bag filled up with water would weigh more than him.
Yeah, I'd go to
Just
jump and I would
roll
just
them.
tip forward and all
we're
the
just
water would
dragging
just
him
rush
behind
out.
us.
Yeah, you guys can roll him in front of you and it'll put the fire out. He'll be your little steamroller.
Literally, because he's steaming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll cut a piece of the bedroll, like enough to wrap the staff, and then I'll just soak it in
Okay.
water. I'm assuming there's puddles or
How
something.
does concentration work in an environment like this if we run in?
So, in theory, according to the book, anytime you take damage, you have to roll concentration. However, in my impression, if you're taking a minor amount of damage from, say, like, just the environment, I don't think, like
We're
let's
expecting
say,
it too.
yeah, like, let's say, for example, we do something along the lines of every 3 rounds you take 1 fire damage from being in the building. I wouldn't expect you to roll concentration for that. Now, if something happens
And a log
and
hit
you
me.
get lit on fire and that starts hurting you, that I think would still require a concentration.
Well, that's like me.
Exactly, because I mean, then you're like,
You're on
one
fire,
is like
though.
there's fire around you, and the other is you are on fire.
Same idea as getting like poisoned by the air around, doing small amounts of damage, not
Exactly.
interrupting, versus actually being poisoned.
Exactly, I think that's fair.
Okay.
Makes sense.
So, Lazarus is going to be running his detect thing to try and, when we run through, if he picks up a stronger sense of elemental in any area, he can point it out.
Yeah, fair enough. That sounds like a good plan. We'll last, what, like 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
All right, so you said you were approaching the building to check on the fire?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, how close do you get to the building?
How close can I get to the building?
That's a fair point. So we'll start with you're 10 feet away from the building. Which, if you think, like, I mean, that's a decent distance.
Yeah, so the flames are rolling in front of us.
But you can definitely feel the heat coming off of it at 10 feet. As you approach to 5 feet, it starts to get pretty intense. You haven't doused yourself in water yet.
Mm-hmm.
By the time you get to, like you're at 5 feet and you're thinking about stepping closer to it, it starts to get pretty uncomfortable. You start to feel like your skin's getting pretty warm, and it's definitely getting unpleasant.
God damn it, let me reread this.
I would definitely say, too, as far as, like, your instincts tell you, it doesn't feel like you're being helped in any way. At least not to this set of fire.
Yeah. I think Lazarus is just going to stick his hand out anyways.
Okay.
Until he takes actual points of damage.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So you go up to the door, I guess?
Yeah, just like, I more like just lunge forward and put my hand out and like, and then...
In through the door?
Well, just like towards it until it's like I taken.
Until you can't take it
Until
anymore?
it hurts, yeah.
Okay.
It hurts a lot.
Fair enough. So at about 4 feet, you're starting to feel it. You reach your hand out and you start to lean forward. As it gets to about 2 feet away, it's definitely too much. You take 1 point of damage. You pull back pretty fast. Like, you're expecting it to hurt. But it's definitely, like, you're not even at the door yet. You're about 2 feet away from the door.
Okay, well then I back up from there. I just turn around to the group. Seems Lazarus will not be of assistance for this starting and point to the fire. He's just like waving his smoking hand.
Yeah, there's like that, like, smoke coming off of it.
Nim just points. He's like, fire hot!
We will most certainly not be able to prevent gradual burn unless we actively take care of it.
Well, I mean, I can make it rain on us every now and then.
Basically, as we start running through, we're going to start having to pour water skins over us immediately as we run.
They did manage to come up with 4 water skins.
Okay.
So, including the ones you probably already have, that gives you 2 uses each.
Right, but it's going to be like pouring it slowly and just like as we run.
Yeah.
It's going to be weird. I guess.
I'm not saying it'll be ideal. I mean, your best shot will be when you douse yourselves heavily before you go in. Once that starts to wear off, you'll definitely be on borrowed time.
I know exactly what Lazarus is going to do when she's casting Tidal Wave.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, if Kenna's willing to hit you with the tidal wave...
He's going to
We're
lay
going to take damage, but I mean, you can lay down in the water.
Oh yeah, I'm going to just lay
after.
down and hold my
Yeah.
breath. And
lay down, roll around.
Yeah,
Like, I'll cast it down, but I mean, we're still going to
Right,
get
it's
splash
fine.
up, and then we can just
yeah, it works for me. We get a
cover
reset.
ourselves then.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't recommend getting hit by the
No,
waterfall.
please don't.
It's
That's
not
4d8 bludgeoning damage.
It's not the weakest of spells.
Nope.
So we'll use the dousing initially, them casting, opening it up, and then we'll get there. Probably we shouldn't use the water skins yet. We'll cast
No,
the waterfall to go
waterfall.
down, try to splash ourselves there, go down and start hoping I can ping something out quickly.
Well, it'll be dripping too. You got to
Yep.
like, because it'll be down each level, right? So it should be dripping on us the whole way.
Depending on the thickness of the floors,
Yeah.
which you'll find out when you get in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And they did say they were already seeing breaches in the floor,
Yeah.
so chances are it's not perfectly sealed.
The other point would be that if we run out of water in our water skins, Kenna can also fill them up with create or destroy water.
Okay, so we have that.
So essentially, don't get hurt because I don't think I'll have any slots left
Lazarus
to
can
heal.
hold, hopefully, for a heal first if
Okay.
he needs to. He has 35. And no spell slots. That's for sure. And everyone's subdis is inspiration, so hopefully those are useful.
Yeah.
So hopefully those are a good time.
Need it.
Hopefully not. Alright, so I think we've got a general plan.
Yeah, it seems like you guys have a bit of a general plan. Sorry, I'm just grabbing something from my binder so I remember something.
Just immediately
The
open
speech.
first thing. How screwed are they?
I made a table.
I was
made
waiting
a
for him
chart.
to pull out the speech for when we die. This is how I'm going to explain why they died.
Just brings out a chart. It's like, you guys are here.
Does anyone else have
Here.
2d8 that I can borrow?
As you can see from this Venn diagram I created, here is dead, and here is the party, and this overlap.
This is the fire.
Let's see what happens.
As you can see, they are heavily synchronized. Okay, so
Well, I suppose
is it time to do this thing?
we'll go to Blaine for a moment.
All right, you return to the party.
Yeah. Well then, shall we prepare the buckets and everything else for the initial dousing as we go in?
I believe that would be appropriate. I've prepared some barrels. Over there.
Look.
There are barrels.
Nice.
They are filled with water.
Nice.
It looks cold.
I'm gonna just take one. I'm gonna start roll carting it more closer to the start.
Yeah.
Where we're
Okay.
running in.
So you can kind of like jump in, jump out.
Yeah, and then we're right straight in.
How tall are the barrels?
Could we
They're like typical barrel heights, like 3 feet.
knock the barrels over into the fire too?
Well, we probably wouldn't want to just dump the water that they're trying to use for it.
Barrels are 40 gallons, according to my inventory sheets.
I'm not,
Yeah, that sounds
Lazarus
about
isn't
right.
in the barrel, but he's just going to dunk that bear pelt in.
Actually, I forgot to even check that. So water skins hold 4 pints of liquid.
Okay, so...
A
80
barrel
ounces.
holds... Where's my barrel? 40 gallons.
Or 4 cubic feet.
Which actually, if you think about it, means even if you dumped it over, it wouldn't fill up a
Square.
5x5 grid, a 5x5 square.
Well, it would, because it's a 5x5x5 volume of water.
Yeah, but it's only a 4-foot cube, not a 5-foot cube.
Right, but it's...
It
got
basically,
verticality.
yeah, it basically would cover an area. Probably a little more than that, depending on how like hot the water or the fire is. Yeah, sorry, I was thinking vertically. I'm like, water wouldn't care about the vertical.
Z-axis does not. Why?
Z-axis does not matter for this. Okay, so everybody begins rolling their barrels closer to the entrance. Blaine kind of walks up that way with you, and he like stands like positioned at the big bay doors, and you see him just kind of like, all right, tell me when you're ready, and I'll clear you a path.
I'm supposed to make sure both my water skins are filled.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the water skins.
Use the barrel to fill them.
Dunk the bear pelt in.
I'm getting in the barrel.
Yep.
I want to sop up as much water
Just
as humanly possible.
I'm gonna hop and just dunk myself fully.
I want to get my hair fully soaked. I want to get my cloak fully soaked.
Is there like a larger than average bucket nearby? Because I feel like a barrel's just way too big for Nim. Around.
Lazarus can offer to just like
Just dip him in it, yeah.
Candy dip you in it.
No, not a bucket that looks like it would function well enough compared to the barrel.
Okay, well, I'll just climb up the side of a barrel and dunk myself in, I guess. With my spell focus wrapped in the bedroll.
Certainly. You really have to.
Check.
I mean, you'll probably want to oil your book later.
My book's metal.
Yes, but I'm talking about like rust.
Oh, I prestidigitation that shit off.
I'm sure you would. I just mean like it'll probably need cleaning later.
Oh yeah, but it's all acid etched, so it shouldn't affect the spells.
It shouldn't affect the spells. It need to rust fairly significantly to do that. And I guess what weapon do you have these days,
Warhammer
Lazarus?
So that
Is it the stone one or the metal one?
I've only got the. It's the metal one we found in the tree that Maverick left. Stuff.
Right.
So I think it's wooden handle, decent craftsmanship, a metal hammer.
Yeah. So same thing.
Yeah.
You probably want to
Well, yeah.
clear it later, or clean it later, I should say. Okay. So everybody's gotten nice and soaked in the barrels.
Lazarus is basically kind of like holding his hammer with the head down and the handle up behind him, like tucked behind him where his bear pelt is.
Fair enough.
So he's just kind of like got it like here, so it's kind of
Yeah.
protected.
I would have just done the lodging with the two.
Dagger scimitars.
You can call them daggers. it's
Daggertars.
fine.
Daggertars. I put the two daggertars.
Ooh, that could be what you name your weapon when it activates. These are my daggertars.
First time I say that, it's just like, nope, just disintegrate.
Like, oh, that was a nice god weapon he had.
He doesn't lose the weapon, but like all the power you put into it just like leeches back out. It's like,
You like
Like
literally
reset.
watch like the power level drain.
Oh.
You're like, wow, Myra's surprisingly touchy about that.
son, I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed.
Okay.
When when I'm still bathing or soaking myself up, I just want to like pray to my leaky and ask for protection from the fire. That's what I'm gonna do.
Okay. All right. Everybody's good and soaked. You ready to
Belts
do
on.
this thing? Okay. How are you marching through the building? Let's get that prepped up before you run in.
Maybe it's firefighter first.
He's just going to clear you an opening. He's not coming in with you.
No, me.
Oh, I see.
Who,
And head away from me like we always
Yeah.
do. That way I can...
so how do you guys want to come up behind me? Let's see
I
what
probably should be right behind you if I'm.
you're going to cast.
Yeah.
And then we probably don't want him in the lead or in the rear because he can just get lost that way. Just trips and we don't even hear it.
Fell down the hole.
Oh my god. That'd be the worst. Oh, fell in a hole.
And he's in the floor.
I'm dead.
So for those that can't see the table, obviously, it looks like it's Lazarus first, then
Kenna.
Kenna, then Nim, then Disley taking up the rear.
He likes it in the rear.
Whoa.
Based on this, I'd be Nim.
Oh.
Nim's kind of to the side.
Okay. So, Blaine kind of looks at you. Ready?
Ready as we're gonna get.
Light the fire.
Time's up, let's do this.
All right, we'll begin. And he puts his hands out in front of him, and he begins an incantation for his spell, but it's like super dramatic. He basically is just like, fire, I see you there seeking to exist, but I deny you your vengeance. You took my family, you took my pets, and you took my sleep. You will not have this party. Be gone. And he just tidal waves in through the door.
So we have one second tidal wave.
And I think that's a good place. We'll take a quick break. The tidal wave crashes through the door, and we'll see what you see when we come back from a quick break. Wow, what a cliffhanger. I wonder what's going to happen next time. Seriously, guys, thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening in. If you liked what you heard, share us with your friends. If you hated what you heard, share us with your enemies. Seriously, though, like, comment, subscribe. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll find out what happens to Double Doubles and Dragons next time.